Batra Daf, 2 lines from the bottom, continuing with Eob. Rabbi Yochanan ben Elazar Damnu Tevayo, they both said, Eob me'alei g'ola haya. Eob was one of the people who went to Eretz Yisrael after they had to leave Babel. Ubet Midrasho bet Tiberia, and his Bet Midrash was actually located in Tiberia. Mete, I had a question. You mentioned of Eob, the days of the amount of days that Eob lived. Mishashim Husi Yisrael Mitzrayim Ba'achitzu, from the time the Jews entered Mitzrayim until they left. So definitely not from Galut of Tiberia and Yerushalayim and Bavel. If it was happening during Mitzrayim, where it says no, Emma Kish Kimmi not the time, not the time, not at the time they were in Mitzrayim, but the amount of time. So it was 210 years he lived for. But it could be that he lived in Eretz Israel. There were 7 prophets who prophesied for the non-Jewish nations. Bilan, Aviv, his father, V'Yob, Eliphaz Temani, Ubildad Hashuhi, V'Tzofer Hanaamati, Ve'Elihu ben Berachel Habuzi. These 7 people, and we see that Yob was considered a Navi for the non-Jews. Maybe seemingly he wasn't a Jew against everything we just said. The says no. But also the last person on the list, Elihu, was definitely a Jew. The Pasuk says, he came from the family of Ram. So that he's from the Jewish family. So rather, how do you explain everything? These people that were the prophets for the non-Jewish nations doesn't mean they were non-Jewish. They were Jews who prophesied for the non-Jewish nations. Eob also did the same thing. But every prophet, even like Yonah, prophesies for the non-Jews. Where it says, Hatam ikar nevuatel Israel. All other prophets, they primarily prophesied only for the Jews. Hacha ikar nevuatel, but these 7, they mainly prophesied for the Goyim. Next question. I see there was a tzaddik in the nations of the world. His name was Eob. He only came into this world to receive reward. When Hashem decided to give him punishment, he started to curse and deny God. Therefore, Hashem doubled his reward in this world, to take him away from the Olam Haba. Hashem said, you don't want to give him all the reward in Olam Hazeh, so that in Olam Haba he doesn't get anything. So we see this Braita clearly says that that Eob was non-Jewish. Which is tonight's Machotanim. Tanya Braita says, Eob was during the time of the judges. Shneimar, Heinatim Kulechem Hazitim, Belama Zeh Hevel Tehebalu. Ezador Shekulu Hevel, what was considered the nation that had Hevel in it? This is the generation when there were judges. And in that pasuk, Eob was saying the judges at the time were all corrupt, and therefore we see he was during that time. Eob was during the time of Achashverosh. The pasuk says, there was no other woman as beautiful as daughters of Eob in the whole Eretz, in the whole world. Sounds like which generation were beautiful women looked out for. Famously was happening during the time of Achashverosh. And that's why we see it during the same time. The also look for beautiful women. The Pasuk says, searched for beautiful women in Eretz Israel. But in Eob, Bechol Aretz was referring to the whole world, just like Achashverosh. Says, Eob was during the kingdom of Sheba, or also known as Sheba. Sheba attacked and took Eob's cattle. Eob during the time of the Kasdim. Kasdim Zamu Shlosha Rashim. Different opinions say Eob lived in the time of Yaakov. But Dinah bat Yaakov Nasa, and he married Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov. The pasuk says in Eob, "Kitaber achat hanevelot tadabri." Uktivat by Dinah, it says, "Ki nevala asa b'Israel." So we see there's a connection between Eob and Dinah. The Kulu tonight is Eob b'Israel. Everybody still agrees that Eob was Jewish. The Levar Mishirim, except for the last opinion that some people say that he would live in the time of Yaakov, he wasn't Jewish. These are the because you would think that any other opinion would hold that Eob was not Jewish, it wouldn't be good. Because if he wasn't Jewish and he came after Moshe Rabbeinu, how would it be possible that Hashem would put the prophecy on a goy? Moshe specifically requested that Hashem did not give the Shekhinah on goyim. That Hashem granted that request. So we see that Job couldn't have come after Moshe and not be Jewish because otherwise he couldn't be a prophet. Rabbi Yotan, the generation of Job had a lot of immorality. You've all been gazing. The word the hazeh is the shortish. We see elsewhere, turn away from the beautiful woman. Maybe this who's this referring to staring at immoral stuff? Maybe it's looking as in Nevi'ut. So maybe it's referring to prophecy. Where it says, the next part of the pasuk where he's rebuking his friends, he was talking to his friend, he says, why are you acting in such bad manners? Obviously, so much something negative, immorality, and not something good like prophecy. What does it mean that it says during the times the judges judged? What's that double lashon? It was a generation that judged the judges, meaning the judges themselves were corrupted and therefore they need to be judged. Amarlo told Kisim if a judge would tell the defendant, take out the splinter from your teeth, you did something wrong, you did something a little wrong, and you try to punish him for it. Omerlo, the defendant would tell the judge, Tol koram take the beam next to your eyes. You're doing something much worse than me. Amarlo kaspecha if the judge told the guy, your silver is tainted. The guy would answer him, your wine is mixed with water. You're just as corrupt and tainted as me. Whoever says that the queen of Sheba was a woman is making a mistake. My Malkat Sheba, what does it mean? But the queen of Sheba, Machuta Deshva Mahasha. So some opinions hold that it means actually she was a king, but other opinions hold that she became queen on her own merit and not by marrying somebody, similar to how Vashti became queen. This is the famous story of what happened with Eob. What was going on? Eob was very blessed. The angels came before Hashem with the Satan. The Hashem Satan, and Hashem told the Satan, Hashem asked the Satan, where are you coming from? The Satan said, I just looked all over the world. He told the Hashem, I looked all over the world. I have never found someone as loyal as your servant Abraham. Because you told him, you told him that he's going to receive the entire Eretz Canaan, and still, when he cannot find a place to bury Sarah, he ended up buying the Marat from Ephron for 400 silver coins. He didn't complain. He didn't say, I'm supposed to get this. Hashem promised me this land, and now I'm paying millions of dollars for it. Therefore, Abraham is the most loyal. Hashem says, oh, but you see, Eob is the best also. Hashem praised Eob more than Abraham. It says, I know he fears Hashem. But it says, perfect and upright man who fears Hashem and goes away from evil. What does it mean in terms of evil? Eob was very easygoing with his money. Generally, people, when a person owes somebody like a half a dollar, he pays him that $50, and that's it. Eob would give up his thing and pay the full dollar and tell him to keep the change. What a big difference that makes. Not the little things that make, it's not the big things that you need to make a difference. Even little things makes a big difference. That he was considered greater than Abraham Avinu. Son said, oh, you think he loves you for no reason? The reason why he loves you is because you gave him everything. You made him very wealthy and prosperous. Whoever dealt with Eob was blessed. What does that mean? The animals of Eob change the natural order of things. Naturally, wolves kill sheep, Eob's animals would kill the sheep, kill the wolves. The Stan says, let's attack him. I won't do a sickness on him, and let's see if he curses God. Okay, Hashem gave him permission. Attack Eob's possessions and stuff, but don't touch himself. That day, Eob's children were sitting and eating at the house of their oldest brother. The messenger came to him and says, the oxen were plowing. So now the Gemara says, what does Pasuk mean? The oxen were plowing and the female donkeys were grazing. So how are you plowing and grazing at the same time? Hashem blessed Eob with the taste from the world to come. That the second they planted, it would grow. That's how Olam Haba was. Like Gan Eden used to be the second person was with their wife. The second Adam was with his wife, she gave birth. So too there, his oxen would plow and the animals, but the donkeys would eat behind it. Anyhow, the next person came and said that the fire from Hashem killed all your animals. And the next person says, and the servants also died and I escaped. Next person says that their animals, your camels were stolen by the Kasdim. I escaped. Next guy came and said, your sons and daughters were eating together in your oldest son's house. A big wind came and made the house collapse, and all of them died except for me. After hearing that he lost everything, his animals, his sheep, his servants, his children, he tore his shirt and started pulling out his hair, and he's feeling very powerful. He said, I came out of my mother's womb naked, and I will return there naked. Hashem natan v'Hashem lakach, Hashem meborach. Hashem has given, Hashem has taken, blessed be Hashem. What a powerful line. Besides this, Hashem, despite all that happened, Eob did not complain or sin. And again, that next day, the angels came and to stand with Hashem. The Satan came. Hashem asked him, where are you coming from? And he's like, I was wandering around the world. The Satan again is trying to cause problems. He says to Hashem, I went through the whole world. I never found a servant as loyal as your servant Abraham. You told him, same thing he said before. Now Hashem says, again, but don't you see how awesome Eob is? He's still treating me correctly, even though you punished him. Hashem tells the Satan. And he said, Hashem worded it that you attacked him for no reason, which sounds like the Rabbi Yochanan says, if the Gemara didn't write it, we wouldn't be able to say it. If the Pasuk didn't write it, we wouldn't be able to say it. That it sounds like Hashem was persuaded by the Satan to do something for no reason, like a regular person is convinced. Batra says, the Satan goes into this world to get people to sin. Then he goes to Shemayim and then he tries to get Hashem to punish them. Then he gets permission to kill them. Hashem said, listen, a person will always sacrifice something less for something that's more of him. The son tells Hashem, yeah, I touched everything except for him. Let me touch him. Let's see how far that takes him. Let's see if he's still loyal. Hashem said, go for it. Give him diseases, but don't kill him. The Satan went then and started attacking Eob with a very, very bad sickness from his foot to his head. Satan had a very hard job, harder than Eob, because he had to do so much pain on Yov, making sure he doesn't die. Mashal le'eved shamar le'bod, as if like a servant told by his master, Shavor havit u'shmor tayena, break the barrel, but don't let the wine spill. Right, very hard. Marash Lakish. Who Satan? Who Yetzer Hara? Who Malchamavet? The Satan who gets people to be punished by Hashem is the same Yetzer Hara who gets people to sin, and he's the same Malchamavet who kills people. Who's telling the people who says the Yetzer Hara mit Hashem? הוא יצרה, אינו יצרה, וכתיב התם רק כל היום, וכתיב הכה, רק אליו אל תשלח ידך, Hashem is still referring to the same thing. הוא מלאך המוות, וכתיב אך את נפשו שמור, we see that Hashem said, make sure you don't kill him. Sounds like Alma b'dei kamay, sounds like it's the job of the Satan to do that, and therefore we see he's the Malach HaMavet. Mar Levi, Satan v'finena l'shem shemayim nitkavnu, very powerful story. Satan and Pinina were doing this for the same Shemaim. Satan given the Hazad HaKadosh Baruch Hu d'natia da'ateh b'tar Eyob. Once the Satan saw how much Hashem loved Eyob, Amar Has v'shalom min nshil l'rahmatil Abraham. The Satan said, Has v'shalom, should Abraham not get the proper attention from Hashem? Don't forget how amazing Abraham was. Therefore, he tried to make Eyob fail. Pinina, the Pinina also had a good, right? Pinina was Hannah's sister, and she kept on making hints to Penina, to Hannah, who was childless, to get her to pray more. Pasuk says, she kept on making her sad about it in order to get her to pray better, to get a child, but she was punished for it. The Rashad Rav Acha Bar Yaakov Rav Acha Bar Yaakov taught this concept in the city, that how the Satan of Penina had good intentions. The Satan walked in and kissed him on the foot in appreciation. Anyhow, despite all what happened, Eyob still did not complain against God. Next level. He didn't sin out loud, but in his heart he was bothered. My Kamar, what does he mean? It sounds like Eyob was being kofer ben Hashem. Marava, bikesh Eyob lahafuk kara apia. Eyob wanted to say, made it sound like that Hashem wasn't in charge of the evil that happened to him. He's asking, oh, who's in charge of this stuff? Sounds like he's being kofer on Hashem. Marle Abaye, lo dibar Eyob ella kenega Satan. Eyob was referring to Satan. He was not saying that God wasn't in charge. Eyob was saying that Hashem is not in charge of evil. Yeshua says Eyob was just complaining about Satan. Next, Eyob said to Hashem, where if your intention, I would not be wicked, nobody can be saved from Eyob wanted to make everybody patur from Hashem's judgment. He said to Hashem, you created an ox with split hooves, that's kosher. You created a donkey with closed hooves, non-kosher. You created Gan Eden, you created Gehinam. You created good people and created bad people. Therefore, why the bad people getting punished? Not their fault. What did Eyob answer him? It's impossible because there'll be no point of praying, no point of doing anything if it's all preordained. Therefore, it must be it's not true. Hashem created the Yetzirah, and Hashem created the Torah as the antidote, and therefore it's up to the person how he will act. What does pasuk mean? The blessing was towards the weak people toward me. Eyob would steal fields from orphans. He would improve it and give it back to them. He would bring joy to the widow. Whenever there was a widow who couldn't remarry, Eyob would go associate and praise her, and then people would marry her. Right, Eyob seemingly was saying that if his sufferings would be placed on a scale, be more than the sand of the earth. And then Rav says dust should be put in his mouth. He's talking to Hashem as if it's his friend who is being disrespectful. Again, Eyob saying to Hashem, I wish there would be a judge who could judge both of us and see who's the right thing. Rav says again, Eyob Eob's mouth should be filled with dirt. How can a slave, Eob, complain against his master Hashem? I made a pact with my eyes. I would not look at a woman. Eob should be stuffed with dirt again. Eob said he didn't look at anybody other woman besides his wife. Abraham was a higher level. He didn't look at his own wife. Abraham told Sarah that he just noticed that she was beautiful, which sounds like Abraham didn't even know how beautiful Sarah was previously. Next, as the cloud goes away and is gone, so too one who goes to the grave will not come back. This is Kofer Amarava Mekan Shekavari B'Tamatim. We see from here that Eob was Kofer in Tchilamatim. He shattered me with se'ara, which is like a wind, and he multiplied my wounds for no reason. Eob angered Hashem with the word se'ara, which means wind, and he got answered with the word se'ara. He angered Hashem with se'ara. He hit me with the wind. Maybe wind passed in front of you, and you confused my name, Eob, with the word Oyev, which is enemy. Eob said, like, oh, maybe it was you accidentally punished me, Eob, instead of Oyev, instead of an enemy. And Hashem answered him, Hashem answered him out of the whirlwind, saying, gather up your possessions like a warrior. I'll put questions to you and you will enlighten me. And now we're going to see tomorrow how Hashem answered him back. There's no such thing as a mistake. Hashem does not make mistakes.